It's noon 01 here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And this is CarEdge Live for Tuesday, December 10th, with your host, me, Ray. And, well, that good-looking dude, Zach. And apparently green is the color of the day.
It is indeed. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We are thrilled that you have joined us here on CarEdge Live. Today's show is brought to you by CarEdge.com. If we can help you out with anything, it would be our pleasure, honor, and joy. Check it out, CarEdge.com. Dealer invoice price for free up there in the top left. So many resources back on the website, CarEdge.com. Where to start today, Dad? We are going to jump right over here. Car Dealership Guy posted the data from Kelley Blue Book over on X. Car dealers are finally rejecting inventory. And look at this, Dad. New car incentives just at a 3-year high. According to KBB, incentives from manufacturers was 4.2% month over month, reaching $3,914. But the bigger story, just how much these incentives vary by brand. Some brands are playing aggressive offense. Others are barely in the game. The even bigger story, in my opinion, Dad, right here from Florida Tropics. Look at this. I reside in a rural community. We have a Dodge and Ford dealership, which at one time I worked for both. Their lots can't squeeze in another vehicle. Never saw it that bad. You and I will spend some time today on the show talking about the latest inventory data as well as incentives data. But the picture can be painted very clearly. These car dealers, Dad, have way too many vehicles and they are struggling to sell them. And the macro data, the big picture data, is really, really, really starting to demonstrate that.
Oh, absolutely. And there's, when it comes to incentives on vehicles, there's always winners and losers. And what I mean by that is, well, the brands that have the most interest from the public usually have the smallest or lowest amount of incentive that it takes to sell them. The brands that have the least amount of interest by the buying public or from the buying public, well, those are the ones that have the biggest or largest incentives. So anytime, you've heard me say this a gazillion times, when manufacturers come out with, say, 0% interest for certain models, typically it is because there is zero interest in those vehicles from the public. So if the average incentive today is $3,914, well, the brands that have very little interest in them, their average incentives are going to be greater than that. And brands like Toyota and perhaps Honda and others that have a short supply of vehicles, their average incentive spend will be considerably less than what that average is.
Yeah, and that's what we anticipate seeing more and more of, are the brands that have an oversupply of inventory continuing to have to play offense, the brands that have an undersupply of inventory doing the polar opposite. The data, though, is really, really damning. Dad, you and I have been keeping track of this here at CarEdge for, 3 or 4 years now. And the fact that we're back up to, like I had on the screen a moment ago, 3.12 million vehicles in inventory. We've broken through a ceiling. We are back to pre-pandemic. You haven't managed a car dealership since when? I don't know.
7 years?
It's been 7 years. When you manage dealerships, we had this many vehicles in inventory. So we're back. I hate this. I hate to whatever. I am the hyperbolic, clickbait guy. We're back, guys. We're 100% back. You can't have 3.12 million new cars in dealer inventory and pretend like it's not the good old days. It's the good old days.
It is. This is the perfect example of dealers, or not dealers, but manufacturers can't help themselves. They said during the chip shortage, we've learned our lessons. It's not a question of build it and they will come anymore. It is build it as it is needed. Allow the customer to order the vehicle. We'll build it for them. We are not going to burden our dealer body with tons and tons of inventory to keep on hand. That was the mantra from every vehicle manufacturer out there during the height of the chip shortage, when on average there were 800,000 new vehicles available each month, as opposed to the 3.4 million that was normal at that time. They all said it, and apparently none of them could live up to it. Okay, it just became, well, let's build more and let's build more and let's build more, and oh, perhaps we should stop building so many, and
Yeah.
that's where we're at today. They apparently most manufacturers talk a much better game than they play.
Where I'm like confounded is that new car inventories are up 11% just in November. November
Yeah,
was also a record-setting sales month for the industry. So
yeah.
what's going on here, Dad? Is it that these automakers are just oversupplying and overproducing vehicles and they haven't been able to slow down their production rates? Or is it that maybe the sales numbers are something that we should question a little bit more? Like, you can't have inventories go up by 11% and also record sales months. The only culprit there would be that you've just overproduced vehicles left and right.
And it seems to me with the number of manufacturers recently who have said they are cutting back production, uh, Nissan cutting production 17% for the remainder of the fiscal year, Stellantis having cut production at many of its facilities because they were just burdened with way too much inventory. So it makes you wonder, if sales were so damn good and some of the manufacturers had already cut back production levels, where are all these new vehicles coming from? Okay. Are these new vehicles coming to Toyota and Honda that had limited day supply in the past? Are these manufacturers, is it Mazda suddenly going from a relatively limited day supply to an oversupply of vehicles? You have to look at the numbers and determine who the culprits are, because we know that Stellantis has said they have been selling down inventory to get it back into line. It's
Yeah.
still far from where it needs to be, but they stopped producing as many vehicles. So who are the manufacturers that picked up the slack while Stellantis and Nissan were cutting back?
I know we were just looking at, we published the latest data back on the website on CarEdge.com, the fastest and slowest selling vehicles. Go ahead, folks. Join me here. Let's go to Google. Fastest and slowest selling cars. Google search that. We pop up right there. Go ahead and do this because, Dad, what shows up here is brands like Audi now have two vehicles represented in the slowest selling cars. And again, hey, there we are. The brand like Audi has the A3 as the slowest selling car and the A7 up there as one of the top 10 slowest selling cars. I bring that up because how we calculate fastest and slowest selling cars is market day supply. You get a big influx of new inventory like the A3 that aren't selling like hotcakes. That's an example of a vehicle that's going to be slow selling, but it's just because it's been, for a period of time here, materially oversupplied. So maybe Audi is a little bit of the culprit in terms of oversupplying their dealers with inventory. Again, to that comment over on X from Florida Tropics, their lots can't squeeze in another vehicle. Never saw it that bad. This is happening nationwide, and I think for pretty much every brand, including brands like Honda and Toyota with their slow sellers that aren't moving. I'm thinking about the Tundra, for example.
Well, yesterday I had to drive up to my local Best Buy to pick up some video cabling, and on my way back, I came through Pleasantville, down the Black Horse Pike, and I passed my local Subaru dealer. Now, it wasn't that long ago. I want to say 18 months ago, you and I would occasionally spend a Sunday at this dealership filming their inventory and talking about how little inventory they had. I never saw so damn many Subarus in my life as what I saw yesterday when I drove past that facility. The new car side of things, it reminded me of when Kmart was in business, and the end cap of every aisle, their theory was stack them deep and sell them cheap. And that's what it looked like at the Subaru dealership yesterday. There were Subarus everywhere. And it reminded me of when we went to the Nissan dealership and there were just rogues everywhere.
Yeah.
And so apparently Subaru, to a certain degree, is one of those brands that has been stepping up while others have been stepping back. And the inventory levels have grown dramatically at their dealerships. I think the same holds true for Mazda, is another one where inventory levels are huge. Mini inventory levels are huge.
That Mazda dealer that reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're desperate for sales," literally sent me his catalog of inventory and said, "Zach, is there anything you can do to help me?" And again, folks, this is JC Lewis Mazda down in Savannah, Georgia. If you reach out to them, say hi to Joe or David and say CarEdge sent you. But they've got such an oversupply, especially the CX90s. They've got such an oversupply of inventory. And you know, kudos to them. Joe's been on our show here before. So
Yes.
go support their business if you want to. But seriously, man, like Mazda is a perfect example. They have just thrown cars at their dealers. And it's so fascinating because it's not just the ones that we harp on day in and day out, i.e. like Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Ford. It's across the full spectrum here, including some Hondas and some Toyotas as well. So the fact that dealers are rejecting inventory and have been doing that for a long time, the fact that they're running out of spaces on their lots to put vehicles, and then, you know, because we get the videos and the photos that people send us, and then that the biggest publication in the auto industry puts out a report that says, yeah, new car inventory levels are up 11% in 30 days. Woo! What more signs do you need that things have taken a turn?
Yeah, where are we going to be at come January 3rd? You know, what are they going to say about what inventory levels were for December? It bodes well for the public. It doesn't necessarily bode well for dealers. And the reason it doesn't bode well for dealers is the cost of carrying that inventory is way higher today than it was 3 years ago when interest rates were negligible. But it does bode well for people who are interested in buying a car. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that we've seen a dramatic decline in MSRPs. We have not. Okay. It doesn't mean that the average transaction price, which 3 years ago or 4 years ago was $35,000, it still isn't way too high today when it's hovering somewhere between $45,000 and $46,000. So we haven't seen a reversal in MSRPs.
Not
What
yet.
we're seeing is a major increase in the incentives that are being utilized to help move the slow moving over inventoried product.
All right, so I want to touch on that a little bit more. And the reason I do is because I have a theory here, Dad. And this theory
Yes.
comes from talking to dealers and also folks at the automakers themselves. It is more cost effective to overproduce inventory and then government subsidize,
Yes.
corporations incentivize. So it is more cost efficient to overproduce inventory intentionally and then provide incentives to try and sell that inventory than it is to slow down the production rates at those factories or shut down factories altogether. Shutting down a factory and starting it back up has all sorts of costs associated with it that just continuing to produce vehicles and knowing that you're going to have to outlay significant incentive spend does not. And so I think this will be a continued pattern that we see throughout 2025 is corporate executives making the judgment call saying, you know what, we could slow down production, we could shut down factories, but it's actually more costly and we lose market share potentially. I think you're going to see more and more decisions made through the lens of just keep jacking incentives up. And so I do not think we're at our ceiling. Far from it. I don't think we're at our ceiling in terms of incentive spend. I think it will continue to go up in 2025.
Well, let's assume for a second that that's the case.
Yeah.
Now, we know that just about all the major manufacturers out there are complaining that their margins are being compressed.
Yep.
Okay. That sales are slowing down, that there are greater economic issues and cash on hand issues than what they anticipated because of a certain slowdown in what was considered to be exponential growth in the EV market. The growth is there. It's just not as exponential as they had hoped it to be. So if more and more of these manufacturers are struggling, and we know they are. We know Stellantis is. They're struggling.
It's literally all of them, Dad. It's like there's not a single one that seems to be spared by this. Maybe Toyota, and even Toyota seems like might have some challenges.
Absolutely, and you look at Nissan, who reports are that they have 12 to 14 months runway left. So you how many more cars can they afford to build that they then have to incentivize greatly in order to move before it no longer becomes profitable to do it that way? That to me is the real question. Have we reached a certain tipping point
Yeah.
in that theory that you're better off keeping the factory running and while you continue to produce stuff and just incentivize your dealers and your customers to be in order for them to be able to sell it? Or have we reached that tipping point that doesn't make sense anymore?
Yeah.
In the good old days, that might have made a lot of sense. In the current market, it may no longer make sense.
Could be onto something. Let's come here to the chat, Dad. Before we do, I want to remind everyone back on CarEdge.com under research, we have our car comparison tool up. If you're not using that to compare vehicles, well, let us know why not, so we can try and make it even better and see what others paid. This is one of the best features we have back on CarEdge.com. We offer a concierge car buying service here at CarEdge. This month, a couple hundred people will have gotten a new vehicle in their driveway because of our awesome team. You can see exactly what deals we've been able to get and secure for our customers, as well as submit your own deal so that the community can benefit. Go ahead and click on that, and you can see what you should expect to pay for a particular vehicle. And one other call out here, guys, use dealer reviews. Please, please, please use the car dealer reviews before you go to a dealership and make a purchase decision. All that and so much more free back on CarEdge.com. Let's continue to help one another make smart car buying decisions. From B-Man E-Man. Thank you, B-Man E-Man. We appreciate the kind contribution. Long-time watcher, first-time poster. You are welcome here, sir. Who do you see buying Nissan if/when they go under? Don't say Stellantis. Not going to say Stellantis. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Honda or Toyota that sweeps in there and wants to purchase the assets related to Nissan, Mitsubishi, etc.
Sharper image.
Sharper image. There you go.
Obviously Nissan's a brand that's been around for a long time. They have also faced financial difficulties more than any of the other Asian brands that I can think of.
Sure.
In all the years that I've been involved in automotive. Will they be around? Probably. Under current management as we know it? Absolutely not. Who's going to take it over? Could it be Honda? Does it make sense for Honda to make that type of investment? I don't know. But somebody will buy. Maybe a Chinese brand will buy it so they can get a foothold in North America. I don't know.
Idea.
I don't know. There are car companies out there that have much deeper pockets than Nissan has at the moment. So maybe here's my theory. Maybe Lucid buys them.
I just want to say, Dad, for those that are out there that are concerned about buying a Nissan because the company might go under in 12 to 14 months, I personally, I'm not buying a Nissan, but I wouldn't use that as a justification not to buy a Nissan. The company's going to continue to exist in some way, shape, or form. Someone else is going to own them. It's the reality of it. So the brand, I don't think, is going to die and go away. You won't be able to. There won't be a situation where the vehicle's under warranty and you're not getting your warranty repair. Like, someone's going to own that asset. I don't see it going entirely poof gone.
Well, I think about this. How many different owners has Chrysler had in the last 45, 50 years? Yeah. Okay. They get reinvented every 8 or 10 years.
Exactly.
Somebody else comes in and buys them. So will they be around? Yeah, they'll be. I just have no idea. Will a hedge fund maybe buy Nissan? I don't know. I do know.
But yep. Okay.
I was going to say, I do know when Saturn, when GM decided to shutter Saturn, I do know that my former boss, Roger Penske, was in serious negotiations with General Motors to buy the Saturn brand and continue manufacturing it. So perhaps there's someone out there, a hedge fund, a big player in automotive, that says to themselves, I think we can make something of Nissan again. And they'll come up with the money to do it. And it could be a giant surprise as to who that entity is that does that.
I like this comment here from Intramorph. You shouldn't avoid buying a Nissan because they're going under. You should avoid buying a Nissan because it's
A Nissan.
Let's come here from Adam. Thank you, Adam, for the kind contribution.
Adam.
What is selling in the European car market? Not Volkswagen. So there you go. That's the answer. VW is struggling over in Europe. I don't have a great pulse of what's going on over in Europe.
I know that Stellantis is struggling in Europe as well.
Ford is struggling in Europe. VW is struggling in Europe.
There's even, from my understanding, even many of the Chinese manufacturers have seen a certain slowdown in EV sales in the European market and are starting to produce hybrids in order to be more competitive in the European market. I don't know. And then there's places like Norway, where I think last month 96.3% of all new vehicles purchased and registered were electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles. So, there's it's a country, small country, that, it's almost entirely 100% battery electric. So I don't have my fingers on the pulse of what sells here, let alone what sells in Europe.
He does have his fingers on the pulse of what sells here. He's got a whole team behind the scenes giving him that data. From Austin, thank you, Austin. We appreciate the kind contribution. 2023 Dodge Hornet GT all-wheel drive, new, original MSRP of $37,000 in the New York area. The dealer is willing to sell it for $24,000 over the phone. I'm sure you could do better. Happy holidays. Whoa. Yeah. What is that in terms of a percentage discount? 13,000 off of 37,000, 33% off, 35% off.
Yeah. Well,
still not enough.
Can I tell you something? Yeah, he's willing to sell it over the phone. The problem is you can't pick it up over the phone. Okay. And so when you get to the dealership to pick it up, there's another $7,000 or $8,000 in fees that they're going to add. Okay. Should they be willing to sell it for $24,000? More than likely. Will they? No, I think $24,000 over the phone is a come on to get your ass in there, so that they can play whatever games they need to play in order to get the price closer to what they really can actually afford to sell it for.
We're going to jump to Matthew in a moment, but before we do, Lynn, thank you for the kind contribution here in terms of your commentary. We were planning to buy a car by the end of the year. Currently have two Toyotas, a 2020 Camry and a 2009 Tacoma. Both are running great. Should we wait for more incentives? I'm going to pull up a page back on the CarEdge website, Lynn, that you should check out. It's under research, under research, and then best year-end car deals, caredge.com/best-deals. This is where you can find all of the various deals that are currently active for the month of December. And Dad, maybe you could speak to, I don't think better deals really come as we get, later in the month. They're typically set at the beginning of the month. Is that correct?
Well, the better, the incentives are not going
incentives,
to be great. At the end of the month, they're set. Okay. Now, could some manufacturers enhance their programs because they don't like what they've seen, say, through the first 9 or 10 days of the month? Perhaps they will. But you are better off, if you're wanting to buy something, to buy it this month or by January 2nd when the programs end, rather than expect that those incentives are going to go up in January or February. The two slowest months for new car sales in new car world are always January or February. Manufacturers know it. Dealers know it. Manufacturers don't budget a lot of money for incentives in January and February. They budget that money for later in the year. And the most that they budget is the last quarter of the year and the last month of the year. So knowing that, if you decide that you want to wait, well, you're going to wait 5-6 months as opposed to 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, I would just take advantage of the incentives that are going on right now. But that's my 2 cents. Matthew, thank you for the
Thank you,
kind
Matthew.
financial contribution. We appreciate it. Was in Australia over Thanksgiving and saw one of my favorites, the Suzuki Jimmy, a mini G-Wagon, loaded two 4-door,
2x4. Okay,
2x4? 2x4?
maybe.
I don't know. Ladder frame 4-wheel drive SUV, $40,000 Australian or 26,000 US, can get it in a manual as well. The Suzuki Jimmy is a cool looking thing. Tiny little bugger.
You know, your mother and I, before she became your mother,
Yep.
we drove cross country from Atlantic City, New Jersey,
Yeah.
to Chandler, Arizona.
Long drive.
It was in a Suzuki Sidekick. Okay, and you might want to Google that and pull up
I'm doing it.
Suzuki Sidekick. It was a cute little thing with two cats and just two cats, no dog, and we had the Sidekick convertible soft top.
Oh
And
my
let me
goodness.
tell you, on the interstates or any major highway, when a truck of any size passed you, I mean, the whole damn vehicle just shook from side to side. But you can do it. We made it. Didn't have any accidents. So yeah, just a short story I thought I'd share with you.
Yeah. We've got from Bill here. I want to buy a Hyundai Palisade Limited in Northwest Missouri before year end. Will I be able to get it for around $35,000 or less? I have no clue, but I can get the answer. I'm going to go here to research, and then I'm going to click on see what others paid. And what are we looking for? We're looking for a Hyundai Palisade.
Yeah, limited.
Hyundai Palisade. Here we go. We can start to break down the various Hyundai Palisade deals that we have. These are the 2025s. We can look at the 2024s. So here we go. This is where I'd be headed, Bill. It's 100% free. It's back on CarEdge.com. Check it out. That is a great resource that everyone should be using. It's the verified deals. See what others paid back on CarEdge.com. Jonathan, thanks, guys. Used CarEdge Insights. Was able to get all the add-ons taken off. Doc fee reduced on a 2024 Prius. MSRP of $33,500. Out the door for $32,500. Nice. It's been a while, Dad. It's been a while, but do you mind stamping the camera?
It's the Ray Shefska stamp of approval, ladies and gentlemen.
Aim a little higher. The camera's up there. You know what I mean? There it is. Ray Shefska stamp of approval from Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. Sign up for CarEdge because I have spent the last 6 months watching the show. Sorry about that. And absolutely enjoy not only the dynamic, but the info is invaluable. Yeah, thank you, Joseph. We appreciate it. Thanks for supporting our company as well. It means the world to us. And from Rich here, Dad. Thank you, Rich, for the kind contribution. Happy holidays, everyone. Yeah, happy holidays. What a fun time of year to be here on YouTube, hanging out with my dad and trying to help some folks make some good car deals.
You know what we've been doing for the last 6 months?
What?
We've been doing the damn show.
We've been doing the damn show.
For a lot longer than that. Yeah.
Let's do our favorite segment of said show.
Really? You've got to be kidding me.
We are coming into the home stretch, folks. We've got a couple weeks left for who will take home the crown of most recalls in 2024. And Stellantis is trying their best, Dad. Stellantis now coming in hot with 317,000 Ram trucks getting recalled. What's going on here?
Well, just a brake issue. You know, you can't stop if you can't slow the son of a gun down. Just some minor brake issues that if it's an affected vehicle, 100% of them are affected. So yeah, you'll be spending some quality time at your local Ram dealer, drinking some really pretty crappy coffee from the waiting lounge as you're waiting for that brake recall to get handled.
And here you go, folks. We have the latest update.
Yes.
As a result of this recall from FCA, Fiat Chrysler, we now have Chrysler in the lead,
Oh
64
my.
recalls, pulling away from Ford
Yes.
Motor Company with 62 recalls. Really a hell of a lead now being developed
It
here
is
from
with
Chrysler.
only 21 days left. Now the question is, can Stellantis and Chrysler organization, can they pull defeat from the jaws of victory? Can they? We shall see. It depends on whether or not they're playing prevent defense the last 2 weeks of the year. And my guess is they probably will. They're probably going to rest on their laurels at the moment. And you never know, that could give Ford the time to catch up and surpass them. But wouldn't it be something for Ford to give up their crown that they've had for the last 3 years running?
You already know that a lot of big news breaks on like weekends, holidays, things like that, because they want to try and not have it get picked up by media. You already know that week of Christmas to New Year's is about to be so many recalls because no one's going to pick it up. So there, we got it. We're going to keep our finger on the pulse here, and we'll let everyone know what happens. Again, folks, if we can help you out with anything, CarEdge.com. We've got so much good stuff. So incredibly proud of what we've been building back on the website. Your feedback matters so much to us. So please share in the chat. Please share in the comments. Please share directly with our team. You can email me, Zach@CarEdge.com. Like I said, your feedback means the world. We've made so much progress this year. And if we can help you out here at the end of the year, please give us a chance. Let's come here, Dad, from Matthew. Ray, the sidekick days must have been before the 202 pounds. Thank you, Matthew.
Indeed, it was. I will tell you this, that when Zach's mother and I drove cross country from Atlantic City, that was in my heyday when I was about 150 pounds. I was 3/4 of the man I am today.
Oh, man. From Adam. Adam, thank you for the kind contribution. Your opinion on the trucking market, figuring out what the rate per mile is on certain loads. It depends. A lot of it depends on geographically where the vehicle's going. I learned that in our business here at CarEdge, because every month we ship hundreds of vehicles across the country to our customers. It really depends where it's going. If you're like on the I-95 corridor, it could be $1 per mile. If you're going from middle of nowhere somewhere to middle of nowhere somewhere else, it could be $2 a mile. So it gets very expensive very quickly. But Adam, you can reach out to our team and we can help you get a quote if you're trying to move something. We've got all sorts of brokers and partners that we work with there. We've got from Enrique. Enrique, thank you. That's so incredibly kind. 100 Mexican dollars. Is that pesos?
Yeah,
Those are
yes,
pesos,
that
right?
would be pesos. That might be worth $5 for all.
I was about to say, let's do a quick peso to USD. We got to figure out how much effort to put into this response. Stand by, folks. That is $4.95.
I was pretty close at $5.
Enrique, we're just kidding around. We really appreciate your kind contribution. Let's help you out. 2024 Ford Maverick XLT sales were paused due to a rear view camera recall. Will they be cheaper once they start selling them again?
No.
Yeah, probably not. No.
Maverick's
one of those vehicles that has been in tight supply because the price point is so compelling. However, do not pay over MSRP on a Maverick. Those days are long, long gone.
Yes.
Maverick sales are below MSRP once again, and use the resources we have on the website to help confirm that information.
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
CarSense, if you want to check it out, my dad will be on with Brandon. Let me pull your guys' channel up here. Give me 1 second here. It's actually, wow, I can just share my screen. There you go. CarSense sounds like there's pain or something going on. Shocking news. Dealer shocks car market with shocking amount of God, Brandon. Brandon, you son of a gun. I haven't looked at this, and that is very funny. Shocking news. Dealers shock car market with shocking amount of cars on shop.
Oh, God. That is, so just so people know, this is what YouTubers do, and Brandon claims not to be a YouTuber, but he does have 4 channels. This is so if you want to know why it's shocking every day, as Brandon has explained, it's because it's what you people respond to. when you don't do shocking thumbnails, people don't watch. He's taking
such a shot. He's taking such a shot at me, Dad. That is so funny.
Yes, it is. We'll probably reach 1 million viewers today. Oh, Lord.
That's morning, man. Good job, Brandon. That was a good one. All right, Dad, let's call it a show. You've got that show in an hour. I got to help you with some camera stuff, so we'll make that happen. And yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow, folks, at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be in from New York, but I've got my new mobile setup, so I think it's going to be really slick. I'm very excited about that. And I would like to say, I think my video quality is higher today. So if you can let me know in the chat, my video quality, I think I'm coming through at a higher quality. So fingers crossed.
Your resolution is much improved.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Love you, Dad.
Love you too. See you back here tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for being here today.